rather have a pet that jumps up every time you walk through the door, or a cat that just continues to lay down and ignore you and wait for food? I've grown up with pets all my life, including cats and dogs, and many people have also been able to do that with cats, dogs, hamsters, fish, anything that they could get in their house. So this speech is dedicated to which one would be best to have in a family. There have been many studies about which one is best to have in the home with children, and I have decided to take the two most common pets, which is cats and dogs, and decide which one would be best for a family. I have done lots of research for each one, and I have figured out that cats and dogs can both be great for a family, and if you do your research, you know exactly which kind of animal you would like to have in your home. There are many advantages and disadvantages to both of these pets, and we have been known to associate cats with being the pessimist pet and the dogs with being the optimist. Dogs tend to be social and hyper and energetic, always wanting to go outside and run around and catch the ball, and they love to play with children, while cats tend to stay indoors and are very quiet and reserved and like to be alone. And I know that there are a lot of different animal personalities, no matter what kind of animal you get. Even if the dogs have a very social personality, there are other dogs, such as the dog that I have now, that doesn't really care to be social and would rather sit inside on the couch all day. Whereas there are cats who love to play around and be hyper and play games with the children and have fun with the family. So I know that all animals are not the same personality-wise, but it is more common for dogs to be friendlier and social with a family that has children. In order to figure out which pet would be best to have for your family, I decided to go over both of these pets individually and see which one is more to a family liking. So I'm going to start off with cats. Cats tend to be smaller than dogs, and they are much low maintenance on instead of dogs, where dogs you have to continually take them outside and take care of them with exercise, and they tend to be a bit more expensive, whereas cats have their own little litter box in their house, and they go to the bathroom there, and you take care of that daily, but it's not as much maintenance as it is with the dogs. And cats also require no exercise. They walk around the house most of the time. They aren't very keen on being outside very much as dogs are. And they're easy for a busy family since they are such low maintenance. They take care of themselves, and they don't need to be pet all the time or have constant attention, whereas dogs tend to like being around people, so they like to have that attention. They're not really known for being social or continually cuddly, whereas I know that kids enjoy being able to cuddle with the family pet, which is why dogs are so much nicer to have for a family with young children. They can be very friendly, though. Sometimes they aren't. They're not very known for being friendly, but they can be. And if you do your research, there are many advantages to cats in the family, especially for a busy family. But dogs tend to be a better companion because of their compassion and their love and their active nature. Now that we've talked about cats, I figured we'd move on to dogs. Dogs tend to be the most popular family pet because of their active nature and their optimist personalities, and they tend to be very hyper, which is always fun for the kids. They love kids. They've always loved being around kids if you get the right dog, but it is most common that dogs love to be around children. And having a dog is a big advantage for your children. It gets them out of the house because the dogs tend to like to be outside a lot more often, and it gets the family more active. They also love being cuddled and pet, and kids love that. They are more maintenance. That's a disadvantage of having a dog. They have to be outside constantly and to go to the bathroom or to be active and get the exercise. But having the exercise that the dogs need tend to be great for the family. It gets the family outside, together, being active with their dog, whether it's going to the park or simply just going out in the backyard to play fetch or play a game of wiffle ball. The dogs love to be around the active nature, which causes your kids to love to be around it too. This causes dogs to have great advantages and disadvantages on both ends, but they have more advantages for an active family. Since a lot of us have had experience with cats and dogs throughout our lives, whether we have owned them or we've had family who's owned them or friends, we have all had our own experiences when it comes to cats and dogs. I'd like to talk about my personal experiences with both of these animals because we have had both in my family. Most of the time we do have dogs and we don't usually have a cat. We did have one cat when I was growing up named Milo, and Milo was the typical pessimistic cat. We weren't a big fan of Milo. Milo would let us pet him when he wanted us to, and then he would nip at us and run away and never liked to play with us, was always irritated with our presence, and wasn't exactly the cuddly kind of cat. And although this tends to be the most common for a cat, there are also cats that I know of that are very friendly and love to cuddle and play and be pet. My old roommate, Anna, has had many cats throughout her entire life, and that's the only pet that they had in their family. And their cats are very playful and cuddly and kind towards one another, and they always love to be held and played with, which is not as common among cats, but it is definitely common if you do your research for the cat that you're getting. Now, I've had a lot of experience with dogs, both good and bad, but mostly good. My family has always grown up with having a whole bunch of labs. I've had about 5 or 6 dogs throughout my entire lifetime. My first dog I remember having, it was named Addison, who was a yellow lab, and he was very hyper and active and always loved to play with us. And we would be out in the yard for hours just playing fetch with him. And he loved to cuddle with us and always played rough with us when we wanted to. But we've also had another yellow lab named Tanner, who was also active and playful and cuddly, but did cause a lot of problems, and we had to get rid of him at the end. He would go in the backyard and dig into the fence to try to run away because he liked to run around a lot, and that is another disadvantage of having a dog. But I've also had dogs where they are super calm and act more like a cat than they do a dog. They are calm and doesn't really care if you give them attention or not, and will just cuddle on the couch all day and not really have to be outside. So it's all a matter of if you do your research on the animal. I've also seen animals who have attacked other people because of their hyper personality. My brother has been attacked on our way to school by a stranger dog, and he jumped on him and tried to bite him. So it's all a matter if you do your research. But there are many advantages and disadvantages to both of these dogs. You just have to do your research. So in conclusion, with this speech, there are many pros and cons to each animal. You just have to do your research on which kind of animal would be perfect for your family. Whether it's a hyper dog who likes to run around or a cat who's more reserved and can take care of itself when needed. They can be both beneficial to your family if you do your research, and I know that you will enjoy whichever animal you decide on.